or if you want to see the slides later, they're online. The address is just there. This is my slide.com profile, so you'll find all the talks I gave in the past there, and that including that one. So I'll let you just write it down if you want to use it. And let's move on to the next slide. So, hello, I'm Sophie. A little bit of self-promotion, if you don't know me already. I'm a Ruby developer. I work at that Quizio that was recently acquired by Web.com. It was acquired like this month, and I'm super happy about this. I also organize a Ruby meetups. A little bit more self-promotion. There's a meetup on this Tuesday. We'll talk about microservices architecture. We'll fly Scott Delaware from Austin, Texas, here to talk about what he's super skilled about microservices. I love snowboarding, animated GIFs, and my bunnies. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, this is my handle. You can follow me on other platforms as well. I always use that username. So let's get started. You have that big pile of useful code. Might be for your job, maybe for school. But you have worked on something that you're proud of, and you're wondering what you can do to improve it, or what you can do with that to use it a little bit more, to make it more useful to other people. And what you can do is open source some parts of it. Not necessarily all of it. Maybe there's stuff that is core to your business and you're making money out of it and you don't want other people to use it because it's your business, but there are stuff that you can open source, tools that you build, or scripts, or everything. So open source can be really cool to do. Some of you might already be sold on the idea of open source because it's super awesome. So I'm talking to your managers right now. If you want to convince them. Open sourcing stuff, extracting it and bundling it as a independent bundle of code will simplify your code base because you're removing it and you're breaking dependencies, decoupling your code. This will simplify it and make it more manageable. You can bring new collaborators from outside of the company or outside of the school, or new people on board, and have new fresh ideas to improve that project and make it live as a new awesome entity. It's also useful for other projects, parallel projects, future projects, to other teams in the company. If you're working on separate applications, this is a good way to share code. So those are some of the benefits. There's tons of them, like PR also. So those are really nice arguments to give to your managers if they're not sold yet on open source. And if it's your first open source project, it's super awesome to extract code that already exists, because all you have to do is learn about the open source world of your ecosystem and learn about the process. You don't have to focus on the code, you only have to focus on what's next. Where do you find useful code to extract? About anywhere. You might have built tools to visualize data, tools to deploy. You might have components, UI components. You can find useful stuff to extract about anywhere. So this is a talk a step-by-step process that works really well for me. There's other ways of doing stuff, you can do stuff in another order, but this is one I find really easy to teach, really easy to apply. And you won't see a line of code in that talk because I'm focusing on the process. Step 1, identify what you want to open source. You'll want to define what problem you're solving. Why is it useful? The scope of it, because you want to define what will be included in that open source project and what will remain on your parent application or in the core of what you're doing. And finally, define the interface, how other people will interact with your library or the thing that you extracted. Once you've identified that, you want to clean up your code a little bit to simplify the process of extracting it. What you want to do first, make sure it's tested. Maybe you want to bolster your test suite. The integration tests are super helpful. It's your safety net. It's your safety net for when you're extracting it and then using that new package or library into the project. You also want unit tests. This will make the extraction process easier too. You will have to decouple your code, extract it to nicely defined class and module, clean it basically, to reduce the friction and the hassle to extract it, to move it to a new project. You want to define, like in the code, you want to define nice interfaces to interact with your new project, and break dependencies. Maybe you want to make the library you're building or the script you're extracting a little bit more universal. Maybe you're using some other libraries that you don't want to use anymore because it will limit other people's choices. Maybe have connectors. So you want to make it as universal as possible. This is my advice. You don't have to, because you might want to build something especially for one other library. But breaking dependencies, in my experience, really helps. Step 3, you want to set up the structure, the new folder for your project. So for that, sometimes it's a little bit complicated because it depends on what language you're working with, which tools, with which ecosystem. So there's a guide here. The link is shortened, but you can access it in the slides later. It's a guide on how to do it for Android. Every ecosystem has its differences. For example, in Ruby, it's as simple as typing gem in bundle in it and the name of your new project, and everything will be set up for you. But I know for Android, it's a little bit more complicated. So when you're initializing everything for your new project to open source, what you want to have is basically your boilerplate code, something that maybe a hello world or something that would work. You want to install also everything you need for your test. I'm name dropping JCenter, Maven, Gradle. So you want to set up everything for it to work. You also want to set up the version management system. Most of the time it will be Git. You can use whatever else you want. Set up your GitHub account, set up your GitHub project, or GitLab or Bitbucket. Make sure it's version managed. And also make sure you have your accounts for everywhere where you'll publish your new open source library for other people to be able to add it as a dependency or download it, use it, make it usable. Once you have that, you're ready to move the code. To move the code, what I suggest is to move the tests first. Not all the tests, but first make sure that your boilerplate, everything is set up. Install your test framework. Add the dependencies that you'll need for the first iteration. You might have to change some tests because you might realize that it's still a little bit coupled with your code. You might have to make it a little bit simpler. So make sure they run. Like, take the simplest first. Take the simplest test that you have, and make sure it runs and it fails properly because you haven't moved the code yet. And then, once you have that simple test, 1 or 2, make it fast. And go on, repeat until you have your entire project into that new repository. As soon as everything is green, that you have something that works and can be used in your main project, the one that you extract the library from, you get into that really fun part of refactoring, add feature, refactor again. This is one of the parts that I love to do because you're making it beautiful, you're making it easier to use, maybe simpler, maybe you'll remove bugs too. You'll make it easier to maintain and also to read for other people. If other people want to contribute, it will be easier. Once you've taken all of your code, all of your tests, and you've extracted out of your main project, you can try it locally. So you don't have that code anymore, but you need to use it. So configure your code base to with your integration test. It's still there. Make sure that once you've put back that library as a dependency and that you use it, everything will behave the same way as it always did. This is, as I said, this is your safety net. Then follow the instructions to your ecosystem to package it locally, to import it into your main project, and you can add it as a dependency, and make sure that your integration is still fast. Your application, your main application, should work the same way it did before, maybe have improved a little bit. So you still have a big pile of useful code and a smaller pile of useful code. You want to publish it, make it available to everyone. But before you do that, you'll need a couple of things. You'll need a license. Just have a sip. So you need a license because you need to define who can use your project and how, on what terms. Do you want people to use it for almost anything, or do you want it to be used as is? Do you allow people to modify it or use it for profit or only not-profit projects? That website is super useful to help you choose a already written license. It will explain to you what are the differences. It will explain to you in really easy to understand terms, and it will compare the different licenses. And maybe in your dependencies you have some license that are not compatible with the one that you want to use. That website will help you decide what to use. Also, because it's an open source project and it's about people, you'll have people maybe help you in the development of it and in maintaining it. You might want a code of conduct. This will also help defining what is okay to do, what is acceptable, what is not. It will also signal that you care about the people and not only the code. And before adopting a code of conduct, this is the one that I recommend because it's massively used in many open source projects. Before adopting one, make sure that you read it and you understand it, because it doesn't have a purpose if you just add it and don't enforce it. This will signal to people that you basically care about their well-beingness and everybody is welcome contributing. One other thing that you'll have to think about with your open source project is versioning. How do you decide when it's time to have version 1? When do you decide that now it's version 3.5.6? There's a thing called semantic versioning. It defines what number means what. Let's say you only made a bug fix, you will increase the patch number. If you made a change that will force people that use your project to change something in their code to use it, this is time to upgrade the major version. When it is time to have version 1, because you'll often see some projects that are version 0.14. This is very frequent. That means, it doesn't mean that that project is not suitable for production. What it means is that the interface is not stable yet. And what I mean by stable, I don't mean bugs. What I mean is that the interface, the way you interact with the library, might change at any moment because it's not written in stone. You can start with version 1 whenever you feel that the interface will remain pretty much the same. When you feel safe about that. Once you have everything tackled, now to manage the project before publishing it publicly for everyone to use, what I would recommend is using and abusing GitHubs or GitLab or whatever tools that you have. I recommend using it a lot because that will help working with other people. Documentation is underrated. Always document everything because that will help other people get started on the project. That will help also people using your library. Also, you want integration tests and unit tests can be ran automatically at any push or any pull request. That will save you a lot of time. When a pull request is open, you'll see if it passes or not. And the person who opened that will see it too and can make the fixes that are needed without your intervention. Issue tracker is also very useful before publishing, just to manage what has to be done or what bugs to fix before publishing. You can use projects if you have a big feature with many steps. Those are also very, very useful when working with other people to see what's a work in progress and what is still to do, what is done. Tags for releases. If you maintain multiple versions, like bug fixes and everything, that you still support older versions, that will help you just to do the proper merges of bug fix. And branches and branches, this is just a no-brainer. So it's time to distribute it to a package manager, a library online somewhere. And I know there's two major ones in Android. In the JavaScript world, there's like tons of them. In the Ruby world, there's only one. Make sure you know where you want to distribute. And make sure that everything is ready to use. If it's not compiling, obviously people won't use it. Make sure that everything passes, because when a test doesn't pass, it means that you have a bug. You have something that is not working. And it can look really bad. Make sure it's documented so people can use it and publish it. The way of doing it in the Android ecosystem is in the document that I referred to just a little bit earlier. So now you have a library that is published, available to everybody to use, to add in their dependencies and everything. Time for profit. No, maintenance. Maintenance is where is like 99% of the time you spend. Just publishing is the first step of a long journey. What you'll have in maintenance, obviously you'll have to fix bugs. Maybe you want to add new features, or you'll receive pull requests. That last case is super awesome, because it means that you have people caring about the project and willing to give time. With maintenance, never forget about the documentation. Reason I say that is because documentation often go outdated. If you change an interface, make sure that you document the change. Make sure that you update the documentation so that people use it properly. Because this is something I've seen many times. The feature is updated, documentation is not, and I try to use something, it's not working, I'm following the docs, I get frustrated. Like, don't be that person. When you maintain what you really want to have, the continuous integration or continuous delivery servers, the thing that will run your tests and automate most of the things, they are your friends. You will spend a lot of time with your open source project. Make sure that everything that you can make something else do, make sure it's automated. The more time you save on that, the more time you can focus on important stuff. Make sure you also update whoa, it's a little bit lagging. Okay. Make sure you have contributing guides too. What do you expect when somebody opens a pull request? You set the expectations there. You say how to install, what do they need on their machine to make it the project run so they can contribute too. The expectation on pull requests, this is in the contributing guides. You can set expectations like it has to be 100% tested. You set expectation on updated documentation. You can put the styling guides there too. How do you feel about brackets on new lines or tab versus spaces? And this is something that can also be automated. So as long as it's available there, you won't have to review or add comments on every pull request, like add a space there, align that. If the expectations are there, they can refer to it and make your life of reviewing easier. Automation. The review tools, there are some tools that can review the code for you, like, as I said, spaces, how do you format the brackets, what do you expect to be on the same line, what do you expect to be split, do you add a comma at the end of an array or not? This can be automated. This will save you a lot of time too. Also build a team. Don't be alone on that, because the team will help you think about what you want to improve, what is important. They will help you also on reviews, on merging, on maintaining. Build a team you trust, because it's easy to get burned out when you're alone on a project. We've seen that many times, and it's really important to take care of yourself, have a team, and because those pull requests can wait. The bots can wait. Delegate as much as you can, especially when you need time. Your free time is yours, and you don't owe anyone anything. This project is meant to be fun, and I want you to enjoy it. And I want you to be proud of it, and I want you to make friends in the process, and I want you to get glory and profit out of it. Thank you.